What is the value of predicting the future? Should be obvious, right? Let's talk about it on the weekly update. Okay, friends, let's talk about the value of prediction. Here's what you need to know. Now, this one is a little different. Normally we do a news review. I talk about what's going on in the market. For the most part, that's been going as expected. So what I wanted to do today was actually talk a little bit about maybe some skills building on the investment side. So let's talk about one of those timeless, classic truisms in investing. We're going to look at this question: can a crystal ball make you rich? Is it important to forecast the future in investing? Now, both of these things, like at the outset, theorized, it seems like, can a crystal ball make you rich? Well, obviously, if you knew what was happening tomorrow, you'd make a whole bunch of money, right? Is it important to forecast the future in investing? Well, isn't that all that investing is we're just sort of like foretelling the future and then trying to position today? Well, I thought there was a very interesting study last year that maybe puts some balance to these things that just optically, if we didn't know any better, it seems like these things are just obviously yes, right? That's why I love this study. So this was September of last year. It's a study published, When a Crystal Ball Isn't Enough to Make You Rich. And what they did was they took 118 people, young adults trained in finance, and they gave them the headlines from one day forward into the future. So they knew with perfect accuracy what was going to come. And then they gave them 50 bucks and they said, hey, your goal is to make $100 with this, and we're giving you perfect information about what the future holds. All you got to do is double your money. And the results are very interesting. So the genesis of this study in the first place is this tweet actually from Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Probably butchered that name, bear with me. But basically he was he's the author of the Black Swan Effect. He was really big in risk hedging in 2008. He does all kinds of like wonky math stuff in finance. But what he said, and finance is really good with this, like there are numerous stories in finance where we have like a conjecture like this that we eventually test and see how it goes. Turtle Traders is another one of these, but I conjecture, here's what he said. I conjecture that if you gave an investor the next day's news 24 hours in advance, he would go bust in less than a year. That's an interesting and bold statement, and I love that we tested it and we have the data to see how it went. So here's a game, and you can play this game actually. What they did was they took the front page of the Wall Street Journal for 15 days and they removed all identifying information so that you can't tell like what day or what's going on, but they gave you the full front page every day for 15 days randomized. And they had you bet on stocks and bonds and said, okay, what do you think is going to happen given that this is what happens tomorrow? And if you don't know the Wall Street Journal, you don't know the front page, this what's news segment here is all the headlines. You might think, oh, well, maybe the front page, there's just not good information on it. No, this what's news segment, this gives you all the financial and business headlines, with very strong reportage every single day. So naturally, everyone made millions of dollars, right? Well, let's take a look. Here's the distribution of player outcomes. The average return was 3.2%. Now, this isn't statistically significant since it's a small sample size, but essentially, that's pretty close to flat. More interesting than that, though, 45% of the game players lost money, with nearly 20% of them going completely bust, losing all their money. And what I thought was so interesting is the players forecast the correct direction of stocks and bonds 51.5% of the time. Now, if your statistics are a little weak, if it's been a little while since your last statistical lesson, 51.5% is a coin flip, which is just as good as if you didn't have the data from the future. And so what this tells us is predicting the future is not a valuable usage of time. You should not sit around and try and predict the future. You should not say, hey, I think X, Y, or Z is going to happen. Those things, that actually isn't very useful time in financial markets. And this game really sort of highlights it. And what's amazing is this story is still ongoing. You can hunt down the link and go play this game if you really wanted to. So why am I talking about this? There's all this kind of stuff that's going on in the world. Why are we talking about this today, right now? Well, we're talking about it today, right now, because I think this study is going to be extremely important for the next 4 years of the Trump administration. One of the things that I can promise you is there's going to be tape bombs, as we call them, that come out of Donald Trump. He's going to say all sorts of bombastic things, and the news cycle is going to spin up and tell you, here's the implications of all these things. Here's the future that's going to happen because Donald Trump said X, Y, or Z. And then within 24 to 48 hours, I imagine that that future is going to completely change. And so we saw this most recently with the tariffs that lasted 24 hours or less with Canada and Mexico. And now they're stalled for 30 days. And, maybe we'll have another 24 hours of tariffs 30 days from now. But what this tells you is turn off the news, turn off the analysis, don't try to predict the future. No matter what Donald Trump says, people are going to wake up and buy iPhones. People are going to watch videos on YouTube. People are going to pay for their cloud services bills out of Amazon and Microsoft. And so these aren't useful usages of time. And in fact, more often than not, reacting to the news actually hurts you financially because you don't even have the paper from the future. And so certainly reacting after the fact is probably too late. So what does it all mean, the value of prediction? Well, you know my take on this. I've put the value of prediction as extremely low to almost zero. A 2024 experiment shows the futility of telling the future in investing. That's not what we do. That's not how we operate. And that's not what you should do either. Don't try and tell the future. Even if we knew perfectly what will happen tomorrow, our odds of investing correctly is roughly a coin flip. So even with perfect information, you're still going to get this game wrong. So you should focus on other things that are more important. Position sizing, risk control, diversification, managing your portfolio to your goals. Those are the things that actually increase your odds of success. Telling the future really does nothing for you. I think these results are extremely important for Trump's second term. So what I can tell you is just by the amount of inbound that I get through emails, texts, and phone calls at this moment in time, everybody is watching a whole lot of news right now and everybody wants to react to a whole lot of news. I promise you, you will never get anything out of me that says we're going to react to news. And the reason why is because I know it doesn't work. And here, I have nothing good to say about media mostly, and I certainly have nothing good to say about financial media. But one thing to understand is news media is a business of predating its viewership. So you are what gets consumed by the news. News is not this thing that you consume and it informs you. News actually consumes you the more you listen to it. So once again, you've heard this from me several times before, but I want you to remember this, especially for Trump's second term. Don't listen to the news. Or if you see something that you're interested in, if you want to send it my way, I'll send back, hey, that's very interesting. We're not going to do anything about it. But if I send you that message, this is where it's coming from, because we know that that doesn't work. So there you go. That's the news review. I'm very excited. We're just at the point now of pushing through our trades for our 2025 portfolio updates. When that process is complete, I'm very excited next week to tell you about what we're doing, how we're altering the portfolios, and what we see coming in the next year. So, and then finally, still have our economic storm warning down here. There was a little bit of a Trump bump in economic activity. So I'm interested. I'm open to the idea of perhaps updating this going forward as well. I'll see you this weekend for the markets review. Take care. Okay, friends, that was the video. Hope you liked it. If you found it informative, good, entertaining, I'd love if you could scroll down here beneath the video and give me a like there. It helps us out with the algorithm. And then if you want to be notified first of anything new that we upload to the channel, if you come over here, click subscribe, you'll be the first to know as soon as we upload anything. Appreciate it. See you soon.